YouTube, truckers and trucker ladies worldwide. Welcome back to the channel. You already know it's your boy, your man, your Royals, the oft imitated, never duplicated, the one and only Enrique Prince, also known as Prince the Trucker. Really want to thank you for taking time out to watch today's video. Shout out to all my truckers worldwide and the returning subscribers here who show support on the daily. I really do appreciate it. We are looking to hit 3K by the end of 2025. So if you view the content, or maybe you're just coming across it for the first time and you can appreciate it, make sure you hit that subscribe button with the notification bell turned on. And if you are not following me on TikTok, you can do so at Prince the Trucker. You dig what I'm saying? Today, I feel like is a very important topic to discuss. So if you are new in the trucking industry, you're getting your CDL and you want to come out here, there's one important thing that you need to really understand, aside from just doing the job, and that's learning the game in its entirety. Let's get into this real conversation. All right, YouTube, Prince the Trucker here, reporting live from the cab of the rig. You dig? I am currently in Santa Rosa, New Mexico, headed to Nevada with a load of protein drinks. You dig what I'm saying? So for all of y'all out there getting your workout on and you need that protein, don't even trip. Prince the Trucker is on the way. You dig? It's approximately 4:44 p.m. Sunday, August 10th, the year 2025. It has been about just a little over a week since we posted our last video, and I finished my drive for today, so I definitely wanted to get this content out to y'all. Again, thank you so much for all the support. The people that come from TikTok, everybody that leaves comments and questions down in my comment section. I get more than you would think, and I'm truly grateful for each and every one of you. I make sure to respond the best way I can. So if you have any questions, want to share an experience, or just suggest a topic for a video, never hesitate to get down in the comment box and share your thoughts. You dig what I'm saying? So before I get into the meat and potatoes, YouTube, of the topic at hand, I do want to put a disclaimer out there. Prince the Trucker is not a trucking guru. I'm not trying to be Mr. Popular when it comes to the content. I thoroughly enjoy my occupation, what I do, and as you know, it is a different lifestyle or a different job, however you want to classify it. Very unique in its ways. So in my time that I have to myself, I like to listen to other individuals, especially with this platform, when they comment on joining the trucking industry. I like to analyze my own situation and define where I want to go, where I've been, and really just relay it in a way that can be useful to anyone out there that may be seeking information, you know, because there's so many levels to this industry. I usually deal with a lot of people in my comment section that are coming out of CDL school. They want to know what companies to go to. I also get people that may have been driving for a while. They took a break from the road, and now they're getting back into the mindset of wanting to hit OTR because they realized how much money they were making and the potential for a better lifestyle, at least for them, you know. And that's what it's all about. It's just about identifying what is best for you and seeking out that information so that you can be fully confident and moving forward. You know, that's why Prince the Trucker is here. Motivation and inspiration for the situation at all times. You understand me? All right. So what I want to talk about today is understanding the business side of how trucking works. Right? In order to be successful, you need to understand how the business side of how trucking works, from your individual job of being a company driver, if that's how you choose to come in the game, or a lease driver, an owner operator. Now, if you're an owner operator, you're on a different level as far as knowledge and information. I really don't see someone just coming out of CDL school becoming an owner operator unless they have previous knowledge of the game. So what I'm going to speak about should be already privy to you if you're coming out of CDL school and becoming an owner operator. That means that you have some money saved up, obviously, right? Or you've been around people who can tell you what to expect from being an owner operator. But this is probably going to resonate with those individuals mostly that are just coming out of school and starting their career. So yeah, understand your job as a driver. Understand what the job of the owner is of the company, right? Understand what your dispatch is there for, and understand what the broker's role is, right? Because without this knowledge of who each individual is and what their responsibilities are to not only themselves but to you, you're just another butt in the seat, right? And we don't want that. So the advantage I have in giving you this information is when I first started my trucking career, it was in the oil fields of Oklahoma, right? So it wasn't a trucking company per se. I was working in the oil field and we were transferring equipment, anything that you could imagine on a well site. If you've been in the oil field, Oklahoma, Texas, you know what I'm talking about. From steel manifolds to blenders, LASs, Chemads, proppant, tanks, you name it, we were moving it. But it was intrastate, not interstate. Intrastate meaning that we had permits and authority to move, this heavy equipment from, let's say, Oklahoma to Texas. So we were pretty much traveling a state over to move these things. But one of the things that I learned from that job, again, it wasn't a traditional trucking company. That particular company paid for my CDL, and it was part of the job. In order to move this equipment, they had to send us to CDL school so that when we were finished with the wells and things like that, we could break the equipment down, put them on flatbeds, tarp them down, chain them, or you attach to a trailer that already has the manifold, whatever it is, and we move out. That experience was cool because I got to learn the structure of trucking. Like, it wasn't isolated. It was like when we moved, it was usually in a convoy. Back in this time, it was probably around 2010 to 2013 that I was operating in that capacity. I mean, CBs were actually a thing. People were on the CBs. We moved in convoys. Everything was team orientated. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of got that aspect at that time of moving together as a convoy. Again, using the CB, the language, looking out for your fellow drivers, things of that nature. My first actual trucking company was Covenant Transport, which is a team driving company. If you guys know, you've probably seen the Covenant trucks on the interstate. That was also a great job at the time. It was pre-COVID that I was working there. Went through a couple partners. It was kind of rough in the beginning because I had to establish myself, and then I found a partner that I could really get active with, and we made some decent money together. So, and then I became a trainer as well, and I kicked myself all the time in the buttocks for messing up that opportunity. As you guys and gals may or may not know, I am a SAP driver. That's what caused me to sit down for 4 years. Again, I was a team driver for about 2.5 to 3 years with Covenant, and then I became a trainer, and that was short-lived. That was probably for a couple months. So I was making really good money at the time, and I had potential to grow within the company. But one thing I learned from Covenant was the company structure, right? And this is what I mean by you have to identify everybody's role. You as a driver, you have to understand that you are moving product from city to city, state to state, all across the United States. So that is your profession, right? You're the one that is operating that rig. You're the one that's responsible for the paperwork, and you're the one that's responsible for that freight and your life and the life of people around you. So it's a big responsibility. Obviously, the owner, it's their job to give you good equipment, right? Give you a good working environment. Make sure that you have everything you need to do your job, as far as equipment, your pay, etc., etc. And to make money, obviously. The dispatcher's job, right, is to make sure that you are utilizing the most of your time so that you can not only make yourself some money, but the company money. You know, your relationship with your dispatch, I would say, is probably one of the most important relationships that you're going to develop in your journey, because of course, when you're in the proving grounds of things, you're coming in as a company driver. The dispatchers might treat you as a number. They might have more of a big brother, big sister mentality towards you. Hey, we need you to take this over here. We need you to do this. Cool. But once you understand that the dispatch has logistics to everything you do, they know where that truck is at. They know how many miles that you've driven that day, that week. They know if you're in off-duty status, sleeper berth. They know all the in-betweens of your actions, right? So by you knowing your job and doing the best that you can as a driver, making your appointments on time, getting up when you're tired, obviously if you're fatigued, you need to get rest, do what you got to do. But I'm just saying, from an overall standpoint, being the best driver that you can be, always being ready when it's time to go, doing your pre-trips, documenting your statuses in your logbook, transflowing or cam scanning your paperwork. All that is going to dictate how your dispatch views you. Because when you do a good job, it gets to the higher ups. And that's what I learned coming from a mega carrier standpoint, right? Is if you are self-motivated to get the job done and you don't really need people to tell you what to do, and you start to catch on quickly and you're safe about it, they'll start increasing your miles. They'll start giving you the loads that are a little further out so that your paychecks can look a little deeper. You know what I mean? Because in a mega carrier sense, they have a lot of trucks, right? They're responsible for hundreds of even thousands of people every day. And I like to say every cab is different. So you have a lot of different personalities. People are motivated and influenced by different things. So, you know, that's why I say it's important. If you're going to come into this trucking space, and I've expressed this in past videos, it's best to eliminate a lot of the things that don't serve you when it comes to just being ready, right? So you do the best you can, dispatch sees it, and when you do that, the broker, what is the broker's job? The broker's job is to be a customer to the company, right? They're the ones that are making the deals with dispatch to book the loads for you so that you can go out in your rig and make the money. So by you being professional and getting things done, it builds trust with your dispatch, and it secures contracts with the brokers. After a while, the brokers start to take notice. Hey, who is this driver? You know, we're used to some of the freight being late a lot of the times, but this driver is handling the business. So whether you know it or not, the better job you do from a logistics standpoint, it really does have an effect all the way up the chain, right? So understanding each person's role, including your own, is going to make your experience a lot better. All right, so the next thing I feel like is going to help you in your trucking career right off the jump, if you're about to go to school or about to get out of school, you need to be doing research on what companies you may potentially want to work for. right? Look their names up online. Of course, you want to look at multiple companies. You don't want to just look at one unless you have one set in your mind already. For sure, you want to be looking at the reviews. If you have a chance to talk to anybody, a driver from that company, get a one-on-one with them, see what their pros and cons are, what to expect. You also have to understand that coming out of school, you're definitely not going to make top cent per mile, top dollar right off the bat, especially if you have no experience and no winter seasons under your belt. I usually say after the first 6 months to a year, you should have like two raises within that period, depending on the company you work for. So yeah, about 6 months to a year. After that, it'll start looking respectable for you. But yeah, I mean, definitely look between the mega carriers and maybe even a smaller mom and pop company. It's really all subjective. Now, the mega carriers, in my opinion, they're going to do things a little more by the book, right? They're going to make sure you don't go over your hours of service. They're more of a resource when it comes to if you need help or assistance. They're definitely going to be in your corner for the most part, right? This isn't everywhere, but for the most part, they're going to take care of their equipment for sure. They're on these highways and they know you're hitting these scales and DOT and stuff like that. So they have a higher probability of taking care of their equipment. And if you run good for them, you potentially have the ability to get more miles, right? And increase your pockets. So mega carrier is kind of the safe way to go when you're first starting out. But I would say that if you can find a good mom and pop company that takes care of their equipment, has a small fleet, a great owner, and a good dispatch, it's probably better than going with a mega carrier, in my opinion. With a mega carrier, you have hundreds to thousands of trucks. So the competition is a lot higher when it comes to the miles and getting certain loads. So you have to be aware of that. But with a mom and pop company, a smaller fleet, you put in the work, they see that you're dependable, reliable. I feel like you have more of an opportunity to grow at a faster rate and potentially increase your cent per mile a lot quicker. Let me know what you guys think about that topic. But yeah, in order to understand the game of trucking a little more, definitely do your research on companies you want to work for. Understand you're not going to get paid top dollar right off the bat, and weigh out the pros and cons of a mega carrier or working for a mom and pop company. You did. Stay with me now. So the next thing that we're going to talk about, I think, is very, very important when it comes to just establishing yourself to be able to learn more about the game of trucking, right? And it is very important that you have this mindset coming into the game. And that is staying true to who you are and your identity as a professional driver. Putting yourself in a position to where these companies can't just treat you like another truck number. Now, what do I mean by that, right? It's very important that you understand that by going to school and getting your commercial driver's license, you've put yourself in a certain category, right? You are an asset to any company that you join. So whether you have a lot of experience or not, you're teachable and you're valuable to anything that you attach yourself to. So you need to come into the game with that mind frame. You follow me? Like, you do a very important job. You don't want to come into your situation egotistical. You don't want to come into your situation unteachable. And you definitely don't want to come into your situation naive, right? You don't want to be so happy to just be in a truck that you allow these companies to manipulate you into doing what their will is and what their end goal is only. You need to thoroughly think about how important it is for you to be a professional driver, the sacrifices that you're going to be making, and getting the most out of the experience from the beginning, right? So it's very important that you come in with a mindset and a plan of being your own boss. This is why I say you got to treat yourself like a business. You need to start developing the mind frame of running your own business right now, and everything that comes in between that. See, the only difference between, if you want to be an owner-operator one day and purchase your own truck, this is the perfect time to start implementing what it's going to take to operate your own operation. The company is just providing you the equipment, the opportunity, and a chance to exercise your skill set and learn about what the trucking industry is about. Real world learning, like being out here with the conditions, learning how to do your paperwork, dealing with traffic, warehouses, everything that comes with the road, right? Time management, maintenance on your truck. All these things are important. So if you are starting off with a black ops company or a mom and pop's company, it's important that you protect yourself and your license as well. You know, don't be out here trying to be like Joe Blow that you've seen on YouTube. He's making $8,000 every week because he's running 2 logbooks. Hey, if you want to be a trucking outlaw, that's your choice. You know what I'm saying? But my advice to you guys just getting into the game is to have your own plan, right? Know your identity and how important it is for you to even hold a CDL license and what that means towards your vision and your future, right? Let's get it. All right, YouTube, there is one more thing that I want to bring up and talk about that I feel like is of top-notch importance when it comes to you understanding what this trucking game is all about and learning the ins and outs, putting yourself in the best position to maximize and succeed. And that is to monitor your miles, right? Do not depend on the company to get it right and pay you every week. At the end of the day, you need to either have a pen and a notepad. You need to be resetting your odometer at the beginning of your pay period, whenever that starts, and at the end of your pay period, taking a picture on your phone and sending it to the payroll department or whoever is responsible for you getting paid. See, you have to think ahead of the game, right? It's 2025. We already know that there's a lot of companies out here that are shorting drivers. They are finding ways to not pay them the actual mileage that they have driven. And if you aren't paying attention and you're just leaving it in the hands of the company to get it right, you will be disappointed, right? This isn't every company. There are a lot of out there that are trustworthy and dependable, but there's just as many, if not more, that are looking to work you for less, right? And even if they are a trustworthy company, you want to start practicing keeping track of your own books, right? So that way, if there is a mistake, you can send them what you have, they can reference it and say, you know what, we made a mistake, here's your money. Quick story. 2 weeks ago, I was shorted about $500 on a paycheck. Now, this particular week, I ran substantially more than normal. It was just a good week, the way that it ran, so I knew that my check was going to be high. And when I received my check, it was still a good check, but it was short $500. So I also want to say that I'm very good at saving my money. I have marching bands in the bank, right? Just being honest. Money is not an issue. So when I called, also, aside from that, I had a random drug test that week. So the company usually pays for the drug test, but for some reason, just recently, they started making the drivers pay for it. So, okay, no problem. DOT calls me, I just tell them to have the company pay for it, they deduct it from my check. So that week I was $500 short. I had a drug test as well, so that should have only been $100 short, but I was $5. So when I called the people involved with dealing with the payroll, he couldn't figure out why. He said, yeah, I see the $100 deduction, but it's also showing a $400 advance. Now, Prince, did you get a $400 advance this week? And I laughed. That is the reason why I told you guys that I'm good at managing my money, because ever since I've been in the trucking industry, you guys know you're able to take out advances every week if need be. You can pull out 200, 300, however much you need. Some companies have a limit. But if you need money up front and the pay period hasn't come yet, you can advance your money. I've never had to take out an advance. Even when I was training my first trucking job, always had money in the bank. So as soon as he said a $400 advance, I knew something was wrong. I just laughed. And I asked him, I said, hey man, how long have I been working here? And have I ever asked you to advance anything to me? I'm good with my money. And he laughed and said, no, you're right. So we went in there, found the error. He was able to send me a money code that day. It just so happened that I was at a TA and I got the rest of my money right on the spot. So you don't want to play with that. Keep track of your miles. Don't expect the company to just get it right. This is your time that you're sacrificing. You need to be responsible for keeping track of your work. You did? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it. If you have, make sure you drop a subscribe, drop a like, a comment, question, or experience down in the comment section below. I really do appreciate all the support here. We are trying to hit 3K by the end of the year. So make sure you support. Shout out to each and every one of you. Be safe on that road. And until the next time, it is the Off the Imitated, Never Duplicated, the one and only Enrique Prince, also known as Prince the Trucker. I'll catch you in the next one. You do understand that though, right?